the window to evacuate Canadians from the country by air is closing as fighting inches closer to the airport.
It's precarious, it's volatile and dangerous, and that's why we are examining all options and helping Canadians with current needs to the best of our abilities.
At least one Canadian evacuation flight is planned for today. In all, more than 375 Canadians have been evacuated from Sudan, including by flights on Allied aircraft. Canada is now working with the United States on plans to evacuate people by land to Port Sudan. Gabriela Panza-Beltrandi is tracking this story for us. So, Gabriela, what else did we hear from Minister Anand?
Well, we're hearing that what now on the ground, it's really being described as a volatile, serious, and unpredictable situation with more than 300 Canadians seeking assistance as of last night. Canada's Minister of Defence said that Canada is trying to get people help as quickly as possible, but also it really depends on the circumstances happening, saying that yesterday 2 evacuation flights did leave Sudan last night, carrying around 221 passengers, and that includes 68 Canadians and 6 permanent residents. Canada says it's also exploring options for both ground and sea evacuations, but timing is really of the essence here, with the circumstances really could change. Take a listen to what Canada's Minister of Defence had to say about that.
I can confirm that at least one Canadian evacuation flight is planned for today. The window for opportunity at the airfield is closing. And so we continue to examine a number of options to evacuate Canadians, including through maritime assets and overground transport.
And as of yesterday, over 375 Canadians have been evacuated, including on Allied aircraft, with Global Affairs Canada saying it's reaching out to Canadians in the country to see what kind of help they need. But as it was mentioned, there's a bit of a time crunch, making sure everyone can get out as quickly as possible before that window of time closes. Canada says it's working on ways to get Canadians out of Sudan, looking at warships, supply vessels, and allied ships as well, to try and get people to the port of Sudan as quickly as possible.
Gabriela, we've also heard from some of those Canadians who have managed to get out. What are they saying?
Well, we're hearing from them that it's a scary situation right now. CBC was able to speak with one Canadian who was able to evacuate from Sudan. She was in the capital of Khartoum, and she was able to evacuate via a German evacuation flight. But it's very difficult to even coordinate things right now. Just take a listen to what she had to say about the situation.
I want to tell them that it's better to try to find a way as soon as possible to leave, whether even the Sudanese civilians, they're trying to leave as soon as possible, because you literally don't know what's going to be happening the next minute, not just the next day. So if people could make it out as soon as possible, ask people around you. That's how I got out, is by asking and reaching out to people. Like, nobody reached out to me and told me, hey, this is what you need to do.
And CBC was also able to speak with another Canadian evacuee, and they expressed frustration with how Canada is handling things compared to what they said they've seen from other countries. For example, the UK confirmed as of last night they've been able to evacuate around 1,600 people, and that includes several nationals from several European countries. So keeping an eye on that. And again, Canada does say it's working with allies to try and get people home as quickly as possible before that window of time closes.
Gabriela, thank you for this. Gabriela Panza-Beltrandi for us there.
Thank you.
Well, Sudanese Canadians who felt overlooked by the federal government are finding hope in civilian-led online communities that share valuable information pertaining to evacuations. Sarah El Naim is one of several Canadians organizing an online community on WhatsApp that relays valuable on-the-ground information to Canadians who are in Sudan, and she now joins us to share a little bit about her experience. Sarah, thank you for this. We do appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
How did you become involved in this, in these online communities that are trying to get information to Canadians who are still on the ground in Sudan?
Yeah, I'm Sudanese Canadian, so I have some extended family that's displaced now that's in Sudan. There's more than 400,000 internally displaced individuals. My cousin and my Canadian relatives were there and were trying to evacuate the country. And I was trying to help them coordinate how to get to the base, the military base, because there's issues with fuel shortage right now. So I put a post up on Twitter asking for help if somebody can give them a ride. And somebody connected me with a WhatsApp group, which is consisting of hundreds of internationals that are trying to evacuate the country. So that's how I became involved with the bigger evacuation efforts. And through this group, we're sharing information on how to get people safely out of the country.
So it started off as something quite personal for you, but it's expanded, just like you're explaining here. Along with these fuel shortages, what sorts of other questions are people asking in these various online forums when they're looking for information?
Yeah, so there's a lot of information being exchanged, a lot of practical information, such as safe routes that people can take to get to the military base or to get out of the country, or whether they're going to borders such as Egypt or Ethiopia. They're also trying to figure out how they can get to the, what the rules are for who can evacuate the country and who cannot, what the eligibility criteria are. Also some information, because there's a lot of scarcity of resources, including fuel, medicine, food. People are trying to coordinate how to do like rideshare programs or even get medicine to individuals in desperate need on the ground. There's also information for those abroad that want to help, and so how they can send money, and also how they can get people electronic SIM cards so they can stay in touch and stay connected. Also fundraising campaigns, any way they can support. So a lot of different kind of information that's been shared in the group, and all of it in real time. So as things evolve, new information is being provided at all hours of the day.
Sarah, are you surprised that this is even necessary? That it's you, for example, and people like yourself who are volunteering their time to get this information to Canadians that are on the ground? Are you surprised that there isn't a government agency, for example, that is relaying that information?
I'm surprised of how little involvement there is from international governments and international, NGOs to help people on the ground. That it is falling on the shoulders of Canadians and the diaspora at large to help people on the ground. We are just individuals that don't really have much expertise in this, but all of a sudden we're taking the roles of journalists and crisis managers and advocates to try to help in whatever way we can. So at the same time, we are hopeful that there will be, the more awareness that's raised, that there will be more efforts to help support people on the ground from those organizations, which is what they're equipped to do.
What starts to go through your head, Sarah? So you get this information to people, and then you probably don't hear from them for a while. So what has that process been like to relay this information and then have a bit of a wait until you find out whether or not they were able to safely make their way out of the country?
Yeah, so it's been quite challenging because there's a lot of issues with the telecommunication networks, and the connectivity is really a problem. I know people have been at the base now for up to 3 days waiting for these evacuations. I'm talking about Canadians here that have been stuck at the base waiting. And so there's been issues because they can't charge their phones. There's one place where people can plug their phone to charge, and it's quite a long line. So you don't know what's going on. You don't know if they're safe. You don't know if they have got boarded on a flight or what happened. And at the same time, they're hearing, bombing and shooting going around. So you're just hoping for their safety. So the moments of darkness where you're not getting any news or updates can be quite scary.
I'm sure it can be quite scary. Is it heartening at all to see other members of the Sudanese Canadian community come together at this point? Does that maybe sort of alleviate some of your stress and anxiety about seeing what people are experiencing right now?
Yeah, it's quite heartwarming, quite inspiring to see the diaspora come together. Again, these are complete strangers helping strangers, right? It's people across the globe trying to do whatever they can, selflessly committing tireless hours to try to share whatever information is available and do whatever they can. So it is inspiring to see. It's not new for us as a diaspora. This has been going on since the revolution that started in the end of 2018. So it could have been essentially training for us for this very moment. So it's something that we've been building up these networks, and we've been equipped to utilize these social platforms in a powerful way to get the information to the ground and to get people the help that they need.
Sarah, thank you for this. We do appreciate your time this afternoon and for taking us through some of this. Thank you.